This is the wildest shelter I have ever seen. Its shape is totally unique. It is built using resin and clay. The interior is not just decked out with solid wood flooring, but it also has a warm and classy fireplace. The shelter even has nostrils designed to spray mist, and the eyes are set with glass. With those aggressive beast fangs on display, even a black bear would think twice about messing with it. Mike never takes the beaten path. He headed into the mountains right when the autumn winds started blowing. He arrived deep in a primitive forest. Since the scenery here was just breathtaking, Mike decided to stop right there. He planned to borrow this spot to make a home. He gathered a few small trees nearby. He sharpened one end and quickly drove it into the earth. This way, he could use the center point as a base to map out the outline of the shelter. Then, he attacked the ground with his axe. Luckily, the soil here was pretty soft. That meant digging did not take too much energy, and the vegetation he dug up would not go to waste. Placing it aside would work perfectly for the balcony greenery. To get a more spacious foundation, he had to stomp it down hard with his size 12 boots. A shovel. It danced in Mike's hands with serious power. Soon, he dug out a 50-square-foot foundation. Looking at the vibrant scenery around him, Mike could not help but stop to appreciate it for a moment. With a suitable pit ready, he could start building the shelter. He first selected these fallen trees that had passed on. Since they could not bloom anymore, he would use them to build his sanctuary. Living in the wild comes with some bumps and bruises. But luckily, the mountains are full of berries. There were more than he could ever eat. He literally could not finish them all. Even mushrooms were popping up everywhere on the ground. After collecting enough logs, Mike started building his beast shelter. He precisely measured each log. Then he used his dark axe to sharpen them. He knew the length of every uneven post. He knew them by heart. He arranged each one in an orderly fashion so he could embed them into the ground in sequence. With a few quick moves like he was teleporting, all the foundation pillars were finished. Since Mike watches a lot of wilderness videos online, he is already skilled at building all kinds of fantasy shelters. He first drilled through the pillars so he could use wire to weave any shape he liked. The process is surprisingly similar to stacking building blocks. Combining all the assembled parts together, it looks simple, but actually doing it is quite hard. You need enough patience and a certain amount of physics knowledge. But to keep his title as the king of the wilderness, he enjoys this unique building style. And the whole frame is very sturdy. It can hold over 200 pounds without any stress. To make the beast shelter look more dominant, he specifically made 2 ears. This made the whole thing look more symmetrical. Now, the entire frame had reached an indestructible level. I have to say, Mike's building logic is often different from normal people, but it also makes sense. It gives you a feeling of being in a fog. Since he wants to live in the wild for a long time, the environment of the shelter needs to be designed well. He first used the transplanted sod to cover the balcony area. Then, he filled it in with the dug-up soil. To give everyone a better view of the process, I thoughtfully made a split-screen crop for you. Finally, he used his twin-turbo human motor legs to tamp down the ground. As the basic frame was perfected, Mike started the next phase of construction. He gathered the mud together. The soil texture here is sticky. It is the best choice for building walls. Just mixing it a bit gives it strong adhesion. It was once hailed as the strongest adhesive in the wild. It is simply perfect for making walls. As for the shelter's fangs, of course that required some thought too. He first chopped the wood into the shape of fangs. Then he could use a drill to fix them in the mouth position. After that was done, he continued perfecting the wall construction. However, the weather in the wild is always unpredictable. Sometimes it changes faster than a mood swing. The foggy weather looked like a storm was coming. Luckily, Mike had already finished the outer walls, and he said his design could definitely handle a storm. In the blink of an eye, the whole earth was covered in a thick layer of snow. To resist the bitter cold in the forest, he had no choice but to arrange a warm fireplace for himself first. Fortunately, Mike has spent years in the wild, so he never worries about resources. Building a fireplace for him is a piece of cake. In no time at all, a cobblestone fireplace suddenly appeared. The moment he lit the roaring fire, he found smoke covering everything like a city on fire. That was a mistake. He almost smoked himself out. He stared at the dominant shelter. He thought for only a fraction of a second and came up with a solution. To let the smoke escape smoothly, he extended a wall-mounted chimney. But to keep the shelter looking good, Mike chose to let the smoke out through the bear's 2 nostrils. Then, he used a piece of scrap metal to make a door for the fireplace. He even installed a handle. This way, he can control the fire's intensity anytime. Next, he made a wooden ladder at light speed. That is right. He wanted to upgrade the shelter's exterior walls. Using a mix of hay and clay, this not only makes the outer wall smoother, but also effectively prevents rain erosion. Under his further upgrades, the whole Bearhead shelter looked incredibly lifelike. Next up was building the facilities for the shelter. This crooked tree looked pretty good. Mike spotted it immediately. He cut it into manageable lengths because he could not move the long ones. Even though Mike is strong, he still had to use ropes to drag them. Luckily, Mike knows how to use leverage. He moved all the wood back with great effort. However, to live safely in the wild, he needed a sturdy door. He first used a chainsaw to break down the trees, using them as the door frame for the shelter. He drilled holes around the edges, connecting them end to end, joined together perfectly. As for the door planks, Mike still used raw logs. He sawed them into thick boards. Then, they could be assembled together to make a solid door. After making sure there were no errors, he could nail it down. Then he cut it in half, making it a double door. He installed hinges at the frame connections. It fit perfectly tight. To prevent black bears from stealing his home at night, he also installed a bolt latch. Now, he just needed to plaster the inside too. The whole shelter was basically complete. As for the shelter's eyes, he sealed them with glass, improving the look while solving the lighting problem. It killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Then, he moved a few wooden stumps in, stacking them inside the shelter to support the bed frame. Designing it off the ground perfectly says goodbye to the risk of rheumatism. To keep the room cleaner, Mike grabbed the chainsaw directly. He cut logs into coaster shapes. These could be used to pave the floor. The gaps between the wood blocks were fine. Just filling the gaps was okay. It won't get muddy when walking in on rainy days. With his rock-solid effort, the interior look matched the exterior. It improved by several levels. Then, he laid the remaining boards on the bed frame and secured them with strong nails. Finally, he laid down a soft yoga mat. A super cute solid wood bed was done, the kind you do not want to get up from. It had reached move-in-ready standards. But as a man with high standards for life, Mike's creativity went far beyond that. He cut logs into slices and drilled holes to connect them, forming a geometric frame that was hard to understand. When he placed the wooden sticks on top, I finally realized he was making a chair. And it was an ergonomic chair. After confirming the height was comfortable, he could fix it in place. Although there were no blueprints, the style was quite cool. But he had no intention of stopping. He spliced together wood collected at noon, added a layer in the middle, forming a casual coffee table. It also served as a multifunctional nightstand. Oh my god, Mike is not only unique at building houses, but his carpentry skills are also on point. Everything was made from local materials. Every detail was full of his unique style and his passion for life. After resting for a moment, he made some niches in the wall. A pair of skillful hands can save everything. Used for displaying items, it also effectively saved space for living tools. Does it not look fantastic? Sitting in the beast shelter he built himself, living a simple and leisurely life. It was incredibly cozy. After a lazy, relaxing time, Mike prepared a rich dinner for himself. Matching his rugged vibe, he started preparing his famous healthy pork rib soup. He sprinkled 200 grains of salt and added a pot of sweet mountain spring water. Just let it roast slowly in the fireplace. While waiting, he added some healthy greens. As they say, meat and veggies make work easier. Waiting for 49 minutes, then he threw in a handful of saffron. Combined with his superb cooking skills, he thoroughly turned wilderness life into poetry. As night approached, Mike turned on the neon lights inside. The shelter's dominant appearance stood tall in the deep jungle. Even the nearby birds and beasts would have to detour. To be safe, he locked the bolt, letting his tired body get some relaxation. He fell asleep peacefully in the quiet night.